All right, I turned the camera off to spare you all the swear words that I have done in the last 20 minutes. Welcome to the channel, Scott's Garage HTX. Don't forget the HTX. There's a couple things I want to jump right into. First of all, I put these hand guards on the bike last episode, and when I stepped away, I thought, that don't look right. I had them swapped. I even made a comment on the episode itself down there at the bottom saying, I don't think this looks right. I think I got them backwards. And a couple of people wrote in and said, yeah, dude, you've got those backwards. So I swapped them, and I actually moved them out further towards the ends of the handlebars, and I think they look correct now. Let me know what you think. Also, the fuel. On one of my first episodes after getting this bike, I had taken out the 93 octane pump gas that they had put in here, and one of the reasons I had done that, I did that for a couple reasons, but the main reason was when I was reading the owner's manual, and yeah, I know I usually don't read instruction booklets, but on page 32 it said 95 octane, and that's really all it said. There was a designation at the bottom that said page 139. If you look at page 139, it talks about 95 RON octane, which I'm not that familiar with, quite honestly. And one guy wrote in, how the hell do you not know that? Sorry, I didn't know that, quite honestly. And if you go to the pump at the gas station, you'll see that the octane rating on that little button you push, it says M plus R divided by 2, or the average of M and R, which is MOR and RON octane rating measures. I think one has to deal with higher revs and higher temperatures that are rating the octane, and one has to do with lower temperatures and lower revs. And that's the average of the two that you get at the pump. Well, okay, so fine. Actually, I'm glad somebody pointed out to me. So me taking it out of the 93 octane pump fuel in here really wasn't that necessary, because 95 RON octane is the equivalent of 91 octane out of the pump. And I do agree, and thank you very much for that. But I do like that I took that fuel out of here, because I don't run like running ethanol through my race cart, which is right beside here, or this, and also the contaminants that can be in there. It's also leaded, so I think it's a better fuel. I'm running 110 race gas in here that is leaded, and it is no ethanol in it and no contaminants in it. On my channel, I've never claimed, especially when I bought this bike, I said, hey, you're gonna come along with me from somebody who has no idea what they're doing. I've never claimed to be expert on a lot of things I do. What my channel, a lot of my episodes aren't me being an expert and giving educational videos. It's me trying something and we learning together how to do something. So it's more of a, hey, let's figure this out together and find out what the challenges are, and through that process we all learn what can come up. I'm kind of your guinea pig, all the problems that can come up. So a lot of my things I do, case in point, when I did that bracket for the auxiliary fan on the intercooler on the RX-7, I never engine turned any metal before, just kind of we figure it out together and learn how to do it. I think it turned out pretty good. So sometimes there's a fail, and well, sometimes there's success, but together we figure it out. That's what my channel is more about when I'm doing these things. So follow along, see what we can do. Let's get started, because I wanted to try to put this on, and I have already questions on how to do that. I thought it looked pretty straightforward, and then I started looking at it. I've got questions. We'll just see. So the first question, really maybe only question I have is, once again, this kit comes with 2 small bolts. You can see that or not, and 2 larger bolts. Which goes where, right? You've got 4 bolt holes. From what I can tell, the larger bolt holes go on the front of the skid plate, because that's pretty thick. That casing right there where the bolt has to go through and be threaded into this part right here of the skid plate. So I'm really thinking that's what that goes. And I was looking right here, and then the back holes right here, they have these, again, little washers spacers, and they go onto the skid plate like so. So I'm thinking you remove these bolts right here and on the other side as well, and use the smaller bolts for those. I'm not sure what size fitting this is. T30. That's a T30. That's a T30. And that's a T30 for Torx. What I want to show you is I'm going to go through this hole on the skid plate, through the frame. There's a hole right here, and then into the skid plate receiver where the brass fitting is. We'll see how easy that is. Through the hole, through the frame, and I'm not, oh hey, that wasn't so bad. Now the other side, let's see. I'm surprised how easy that's been so far. Now the back bolts, and this actually looks a little bit more difficult because they don't look like that lines up very well, right? I mean, shoot. Well, let's see. I mean, All right, we'll try something else. Nope, didn't help. Still misaligned. Wow, how can this be so bad? All right, I turned the camera off to spare you all the swear words that I have done in the last 20 minutes. And I've gotten all, Chala, could you, thank you very much. Go away, dog. This has been a nightmare. Chala, go away. Chala, go. Oh, come on. Gosh darn it. Come on, let's go, out. I have got all the bolts in except for one, which, like I said, I've got that bolt in, and I've got the bolts on the other side over here. That's in right there. And it's that one's not all the way tight, and that one is in, just the way I explained it previously. But this right here does not align whatsoever. It does not stretch. This right there is not, and if I can show it to you, does not stretch up into the bolt hole, no matter what I do. Anybody can tell me what I'm doing wrong, I'd appreciate it. Me trying to put this skid plate on was a complete fail, but I don't feel all that bad about it actually. The website says it's easy to mount, which it's not, but it is the correct part, so that's actually good. I didn't film them putting it on. I took it up to Cycle Shack up in Conroe, Texas, and I didn't want to film them doing that. It wouldn't be proper for me to be filming in their shop. But I will tell you how they did it. They received the bike, and the guy said, "Oh yeah, this is real bare to do." I said, "Oh really?" So he showed me what he had to do. He put the bike up on the lift, and then he ran straps and tied down the front fork and tied down the rear swing arm, and got those secure with straps running underneath the lift and secured the rear swing arm and the front fork. Then he put the front of the skid plate on first, then moved the back of it up against the frame. Then he got a scissor lift and started cranking on that and pushing the mount up against the skid plate mount up against the frame as hard as he could. And then the bolt hole still didn't perfectly align. He got the bolts threaded just enough going through those steel washers and through the plastic skid plate holes, just enough to get some thread catch to it. And then he started wiggling and pulling and prying on each side of the skid plate mounting bolts until he finally got it in. So, you know, for $34, they put this mount on. So my advice is, unless you just like abusing yourself, you know, and want to go through that, I would take it to the dealership and for $34, have them put that mount on if you want to put a skid plate mount on this 300SX. I don't have a way of doing that, and that's why I don't really feel bad about this at the end of the day. I don't have a cycle lift or anything like that, and I don't have any hard mounts on my concrete floor where I can tie something like that down. So anyway, at the end of the day, it's on and it's perfect, and I'm happy. Also, about the instructions on these KTM parts. So I took my computer in there and I was going to show them, hey, obviously when you look on the parts, on the KTM parts, it won't say part number, it'll say article number. And then you go to that website I told you about and you type in the article number and nothing comes up. So I was a bit confused and I was going to show them this. Well, I showed up with this part and the guy behind the counter says, hey, do you have the instructions? I go, no, that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. I can't get the instructions. I shouldn't have to have instructions on how to get the instructions. That's ridiculous. End of the day, he didn't know anything about it. I took it to the parts counter. They didn't know anything about it. I think the best thing to do if you want instructions on how to do all this stuff is get the service manual, get your QRL code, get the website downloads from that code, and take it into like I don't know if Kinko's is still around or FedEx or something like that. That's what the guy behind the desk said he did for his bike. And they'll print off the 300-page service manual there and bind it front and back. I think I'll do that sometime when I got a couple hours to spare. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining me. You guys keep on keeping on. We'll catch you next time.